The rain had stopped, but the street was still wet. The night was quiet. Grace Miller walked slowly toward the old two-story building at the end of the road. It was the house she owned, a place she once called home. The building was dark. All the tenants were already asleep. Grace pushed the heavy door open, stepped inside, and locked it behind her. The hallway was silent. She could hear nothing but the ticking of a wall clock and the faint dripping of water from a leaking pipe. Then it started again. The feeling in her chest, the tight pull in her lungs. Her knees shook. Her breath came fast and rough. Her bones began to twist. Her eyes burned bright yellow. Her nails grew long like claws. A low growl came from deep inside her throat. And then, she was no longer Grace Miller. She was a black cat. Her fur was sleek and dark. Her tail moved slowly from side to side. Her eyes glowed like fire. She moved quietly through the hallway, her claws tapping softly on the tiles. She stopped outside one of the rooms where Tom, a young man who worked at a car repair shop, was fast asleep. The black cat slid through the door gap like smoke. Tom didn't wake up. The room was cold. His body twitched once, and then it went still. By sunrise, Tom was gone. In the morning, the tenants gathered outside in fear. They whispered to one another. "Another one is dead," said Mrs. Brown, a woman in her 60s. "It's the third person in 4 months," David, a college student, muttered. They didn't understand what was happening. Tom had gone to bed healthy. No one heard a scream. No one saw anyone enter his room. Yet every time someone died in that house, it happened between midnight and dawn. Grace stood at her window upstairs, looking down at them. She pretended to be surprised, just like she always did. Inside, her stomach twisted with guilt, but she couldn't cry. She couldn't tell them the truth. She had made a deal long ago, a deal that could not be broken. Many years earlier, Grace was just a young widow struggling to survive. Her husband had died in a road accident. She had 2 children, Ben and Lily, both still in school. Rent money barely covered their food. She had inherited the building from her late uncle. It was falling apart, but she rented out small rooms to survive. Every day was a struggle. She often skipped meals so her children could eat. She worked small cleaning jobs a day and counted coins at night. Life was breaking her apart. One evening, while she was at the market, she met an old woman named Ruth. Ruth was quiet, her skin wrinkled like paper, and her voice soft as smoke. "You carry a heavy burden?" Ruth said without even greeting her. Grace frowned. "How do you know that?" Ruth smiled slowly. "I see it in your eyes. I can help you, but you must be brave enough to accept the help." Grace hesitated. But desperation is a powerful thing. She followed Ruth that night down a narrow alley that smelled of old rain and dust. Behind a broken gate stood an old abandoned church. Inside, candles burned even though no one seemed to have lit them. At the center of the room stood a tall woman in a dark cloak. Her name was Madame Helena. She had deep, black eyes that looked straight into Grace's soul. "You want your children to live a good life," Helena said calmly. "I can give it to you, but everything has a cost." Grace's voice shook. "What cost?" "You will be tied to the house you own. You will serve the night spirit. At midnight, your body will no longer be yours. You will become the black cat. You will feed the spirit with the life of one person each month. In return, your children will rise. They will be protected. They will have everything you never did." Grace was terrified, but she was tired being poor. She thought of Ben and Lily, their small faces, their empty plates at dinner, and then she said the words that sealed everything. "I accept." The first night after the deal was the hardest. Grace didn't know what was happening. She screamed as her body twisted, as her skin stretched, as her voice turned into a growl. She lost control of herself. Something else moved inside her, something cold, silent, and hungry. At exactly midnight, she entered the room of Mr. Smith, an old man who had lived in the building for years. He never even opened his eyes. His heart stopped before he could move. When the clock hit 3, Grace was back in her bed, human again, shaking and crying. The next morning, she cried when they found Mr. Smith dead. But then something strange happened. That same day, she received a letter. It said Ben had won a scholarship at a good school. Lily got accepted into a special art program. Money started coming from unexpected places. That was the price. And that was the reward. Months passed. Years passed. Every month, one person died. Some were old. Some were young. Some were kind. Some were not. Grace had no control over who it would be. The spirit inside her chose. She only woke up after it was done. Ben and Lily grew into successful adults. Ben became a lawyer. Lily became a fashion designer. They both traveled the world, never truly seeing what their mother had become. To them, she was just quiet, tired Grace, living alone in the old building. But the tenants were not blind. They whispered about the house. "People die here every month," said Tina, a nurse. "It's cursed," replied Peter, who lived upstairs. But the rent was cheap, and people with nowhere else to go stayed. Fear became part of their lives. One night, the spirit inside Grace chose someone different. Anna, a young single mother who had just moved in with her baby boy. Grace tried to fight it. For the first time, she felt her mind push back against the darkness. But at midnight, the black cat moved anyway. It slipped into Anna's room, climbed onto the bed, and stared at her face as she slept. The baby turned in his crib. Anna's breathing slowed. The cat moved closer. Grace tried to scream from inside, but no sound came. By morning, Anna was gone. The baby cried until someone broke the door down. That day, Grace didn't speak to anyone. She stayed in her room with the windows shut. She pressed her face into her hands and whispered, "What have I done?" But the truth was, she didn't have a choice anymore. The pact was stronger than her. Years went by. Ben and Lily became rich and powerful. They bought their mother new clothes, new furniture, even offered to buy her a new house. But she always said no. "Mom, why won't you leave that place?" Ben asked one day. "Because this is where I belong," Grace replied quietly. Lily frowned. "But it's falling apart." Grace forced a smile. "I'll be fine." She wasn't fine. One year, Ben and Lily surprised her. They came to visit with big smiles on their faces. "Mom," Ben said proudly, "we bought you a new house in the city. You're moving with us. You don't have to live here anymore." Grace's heart sank. "No, I can't leave." But Lily took her hand. "We're not asking, Mom. We're taking you out of this old place." They packed her bags. They drove her to the big, bright house they had bought. Grace sat silently in the car, her hands shaking. That night, in the big house, she lay on a soft bed she didn't want. At 11:59, the air grew cold. The walls seemed to bend. "Grace Miller," the voice of Madame Helena echoed through the room. "You belong to the house. You cannot run." Grace gasped for breath. Her chest burned. Her body twisted again. Her eyes glowed. She fell to the floor and transformed into the black cat. The shadows rose around her. She tried to crawl away, but something pulled her back. It was like invisible hands gripping her fur. Her children heard her scream, but when they opened the door, she was gone, back at the old building.